Hello there, I'm the Fragrance Apprentice. I can tell you what's popular, but it will ultimately be my opinion, and any fragrance reviewer can tell them what they think is great and wearable and popular. But I've recently wanted to shift this channel from just my opinions to maybe more of a factual way of looking at fragrance. I'll still obviously do my recommendations and opinions every now and then, but the idea of giving you more objective information has been something that has been on my mind. So over the past few days, I have been trying to find out what truly are the top 5 most popular fragrances in Frag Com. What are the fragrances that people are talking about the most, people are rating the most, people are interacting with the most, to give you, the viewer, a far more objective idea of what's popular and what's not in the fragrance community. By using different analytical tools like Google Trends and YouTube and different search engines, also by collating posts from Instagram and looking at the Fragrantica trends, which is a recent thing that they've added to their website. I've taken all of that information, also with using primary research, with just asking people, asking around, asking reviewers what they've seen, adding that all to the data. I can give you a pretty reasonable idea of what truly are the top 5 most popular fragrances in the fragrance community. Now please bear in mind, I didn't pinpoint the search of the most popular fragrances on the internet, because that would just be Dior Sauvage or Aventus or really everything that we've heard before. No, this is more specific to us, to Fragrantica, to Frag Com, to real fragrance aficionados. So please bear in mind that these are the most popular as of November 1st up to now. This isn't previous months or anything like that, we're talking purely November here. So here are the top 5 most popular fragrances in Frag Com, and I've also got the visual data to show you as well. What's interesting about this list isn't necessarily what's on it, but what's not on it. I thought that I would be seeing Amouage, Interlude Man, Black Iris. I certainly thought I was going to be seeing Toy Boy, but those aren't in the top 5. In fact, they're hardly grazing the top 10. So at number 5, we have Versace Eros Flame. I don't know why Versace Eros Flame has become such a popular thing. It's been mentioned a lot in a lot of different videos. The Fragrantica trend is huge, and the Google search trend is massive also. Strangely, analytically speaking, Versace Eros Flame is most searched in the country of Bulgaria. And to get even more specific, in the United States, the state that is searching for it the most is Michigan. I don't know why either. Why is this the 5th most popular fragrance in the Frag Com? Well, it could be because of the recent release of Versace Eros EDP, and there's been quite a few different comparison videos that have been released, and people have been talking fresh about Versace Eros Flame and how certain people prefer it over the EDP and even over the original. It's also been in a few recent top 10 fall lists, things of that nature, so that could also be propelling it forward. It's also been doing really well on Instagram in November also, not just being taken photographed by fragrance reviewers that we all know and love, but just in general, fragrance Instagram pages have been showcasing Versace Eros Flame. It's a fantastic bottle to take photos of, and so that could be a reason why it's also trending upward. So yes, it's quite clearly in the top 5. I didn't think that it was going to be anywhere near there. It's an older fragrance, it was released a couple of years ago, but yes, it is still widely popular and one of the most popular fragrances talked about in the Frag Com right now. Number 4, Killian Angel's Share. Now this is a little bit more obvious. This is a freshly released Killian, and Killian have been sending free bottles to a number of fragrance reviewers and reviewers in general to really pump up their presence within the community. Now there isn't anything necessarily wrong with that. I'm still waiting on mine. I mean, it's Mr. Whiskey over here. Why haven't they sent me Angel's Share by Killian? A combination of a number of fragrance reviewers and the fact that it's fresh on Fragrantica, and people are still piling in with their user reviews and likes and dislikes and things of that nature. Not just that, but it has been a successful launch for Killian. People have praised it for its bottle design, for its uniqueness, and many people are calling it the greatest whiskey-based fragrance of all time. This is just going to create macro momentum. So it's quite evident. If you look at the trends on Fragrantica, it's massive. On Google, it isn't actually being searched for as much. It's being searched more on places such as Instagram, YouTube, and Fragrantica. So this is obviously a release that has been very specific for fragrance lovers and fragrance enthusiasts. The general population hasn't really sort of been searching for it or looking for it. It truly is a fragrance that is incredibly popular in our little bubble of Frag Com. The third most popular in Frag Com in November is Spicebomb Extreme. Now, I did have a feeling this would be happening. I have seen this a lot. That's why I wanted to review it as well. I do love the fragrance, but it's always a great thing to tactically do a review whilst it's in height of popularity. Spicebomb Extreme is now more popular this month and last month than it was in the months when it was released, which is always interesting when that happens. I think that part of it is to do with Jeremy putting it on his number one winter fragrance. If you look at the Fragrantica trend, which gets really hot, it's around about the same date or just a couple days after Jeremy released his video. And although Jeremy is not as popular as he was back in 2016 or 2017, he's still the number one fragrance reviewer, and his lists especially can get hundreds of thousands of views, and interest can really come from his lists, especially his number ones. After that, a lot more YouTube reviewers started reviewing it, including myself, admittedly. The Google search for Spicebomb has also peaked very recently this month. The place where Spicebomb Extreme has been searched the most in the entire world is the country of Sweden in the month of November. I couldn't tell you why. Then we get to number 2, which is the most surprising out of all of these fragrances, and I don't have an answer. It's quite clear that this fragrance is trending upward, and it's quite clear that more people are talking about it, and it's getting included more in lists on YouTube, but I don't know why, and that is Mancera's Red Tobacco. If you look at Red Tobacco's Fragrantica trend line with the user engagement on that fragrance when it comes to ratings and comments, it is now beating out Toy Boy. It is now beating out Amouage, Interlude, Black Iris. I don't know why Red Tobacco by Mancera has peaked all of a sudden. I thought it was Steven's video from a few days ago, but that's not had the amount of views that it would take to get this to where it is. I think that actually Steven's video is more a reaction to the fact that it's popular. It's been mentioned a lot in a lot of different YouTubers' lists recently. I don't know where the source of it is. I don't know the seed of why this is so popular. It's not a recent release. It was again released a couple of years ago, but it is now about 5 times more popular in this month and the past 2 months, but especially peaking this month, than it ever has been in its lifetime of release. So that's a very bizarre thing as well. But yeah, Red Tobacco by Mancera, I've never actually even smelt it, but I'm intrigued to now. But number 1 is quite clear, and the reason why it's clear is both interesting and a little bit depressing for me personally. The number 1 most popular fragrance, according to all of the data, especially when rounded down to Frag Com and even especially YouTube Frag Com, is Armaf's Club de Nuit Sillage, which of course is a clone of Creed's Silver Mountain Water. YouTubers are single-handedly creating the hype behind this. If you just type in Club de Nuit Sillage by Armaf on YouTube, you will see all of the biggest YouTube reviewers talking about it. Curly Scents, Mr. Smelly, Chris, Stephen from Redolescence, all of these different people, all of the bigger names. And I don't know if it has been sent to any of those reviewers, but even if it hasn't, it's just such a cheap fragrance. And the truth of the matter is that clones are still very, very popular. And that's the sad and depressing thing to me. This community is not as attracted to original creations, the thing that creates real hype and popularity and trends to go upwards, are clones of very popular fragrances and cheap clones of very popular fragrances. This was a star on launch, but right now in November it is absolutely taken over. And what's amazing is that it's so incredibly popular, and it's more popular than the other four that I've just discussed, but it hasn't even landed on Fragrantica yet. This is purely YouTube based and Google based and search engine based. It's also doing somewhat well on Instagram, but this is the fragrance that everybody is talking about as of November. I hope that you got some interesting information from this. This was a lot of work to compile and to sort of translate into a list, and with all of the different variables that come along with it, but it was a really, really fun thing to do, and I hope that you've enjoyed this new series, if you will, this new concept. Because of the fact that it was a little bit harder to do, I don't know when I'm going to be doing the next one. Probably I'll try and get one maybe by the end of December. But yeah, it was challenging, but that's great, and new, original, challenging content in this fragrance community is what I'm all about. So those were the top 5 most popular fragrances in Frag Com using actual data. Hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, and if you want to see more like this, please hit subscribe, hit like, and hit that notification bell, and you will be told whenever I'm uploading again. Anyway, thanks so much. I'm the Fragrance Apprentice. I'll see you tomorrow.